Hello everybody. Oh hi. Oh, it's all a bit mad. Sorry, we're a little bit late today. We've had a few technical problems. One day Facebook will sort out their Facebook live videos so that this does not happen and it's all smooth. Hello anyway. It's the most stunningly beautiful day here in the UK. Whoever's online, hello, whoever you are, please say hi so I know you're there. The sun is shining and the sky is the most perfect blue, and I sometimes look up at that sky and I think to myself, wouldn't it be awful if sky wasn't blue? I just love what a perfect colour to have chosen. Hi Karen, nice to see you. So I'm just going to say this now. So Karen was going to go on live and she hasn't been able to get on live, so here am I in all my glory. I haven't even put my makeup on or brushed my hair or anything. I am in the middle of a garage. I'm sitting in a 1969 Mustang in a garage. The Mustang is currently having some work done on it, and I'm just plugged into the cigarette lighter because I was running low on battery. So hopefully everything will go smoothly. But I do have something that I really want to talk about, which is linked very closely to this Mustang. So I wanted to say that, I don't know, maybe it was on Saturday or maybe it was on Friday. Ian and I were driving our Mustang to the Isle of Wight, which is the most beautiful place. It really is. I've never been before and it was beautiful. But on the way down, it was a nice day. The sun was shining, and we had the roof down, and because it was hot, and we're not really used to hot in this country, as you know. So we think to ourselves when the roof's down, oh well, we'll drive with the roof down when it's hot. But actually, it's not a really good idea. I don't know whether you can see the colour of my forehead, but Ian's nose was definitely worse than my forehead. Hi, Christina. Nice to see you. Hope all's well. Thank you for watching. So, yeah, so we were driving this car down the motorway, and we stopped to the services, and I just got these two floppy cotton hats out of the boot, and we both put our hats on. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and then I looked at Ian and I just thought, oh gosh, I remember these hats. I bought my mum the hat that I was wearing, and I remember buying it and knowing she would love it, but actually thinking, oh my goodness me, I'd never be seen in that hat. There's no way, you know, I'd feel embarrassed. And she loved it. And then the other hat, which the one that Ian was wearing, used to be my dad's hat that my mum bought for him. And I remember when she showed me that he'd got it, I was quite disappointed, because before that he used to wear a captain's hat, like a sea captain's hat, and it was brilliant. And he kind of wore, and it was a peaked hat, and he used to wear it. It was a bit of a character thing with him because he was a real character, my dad. So I looked at us in these hats and I thought, because I remember thinking at the time with my dad with that hat on, I can't believe, hi Boo, I think my daughter's watching, sorry. And I remember thinking to myself when my dad got it, that he was going to look like an old man, or he was going to look like a lot of other old people. And now there we are driving down the motorway with these hats on. And I was even holding mine on my head as well, which makes it even worse. And you know what? It kind of made me think, that's interesting, because all those years ago, I would have been mortified to think that I was going to be with someone who had that hat on. And that, I suppose it just made me realise it was a bit of a metaphor for how different we feel about life now. And hi Charlotte, that's my daughter. She's just said to me she loves me and she thinks I'm amazing and inspirational. Thank you, Charlotte, thank you, that's really lovely. So I've kind of thought about how life has changed hugely in the last couple of years. So all this time I've been fretting about what other people have been thinking. You know, I wouldn't wear the hat because what other people might think of me in the hat. The fact that the hat did the trick and was cool and comfortable was nothing in it. It's a bit like that idea of, you know, you'll go out of your way to be crippled by a pair of shoes just because of the way they look. Do you know what? I've come to the conclusion that it's not about what other people think. It shouldn't be. For me, it isn't now about what other people think. It's about what I think, and it's about what do I want out of this situation. Do I care what other people are thinking, or do I care more about enjoying myself and not fretting about, you know, feeling like people are looking at me and judging me? I don't care. I don't care anymore what they're thinking. I don't care how they're judging me. Is if they don't like what I look like, what I sound like, the words I use, the way I live my life, the things I do, then actually that's not my problem, it's their problem. And so it was just a moment in this car where I looked over at these hats, you know, I was wearing these hats, and I thought, oh my goodness me, that's just the most brilliant feeling ever. And I really have had the most wonderful weekend. And when I think back, maybe even 2 years ago, if we'd have done this exact same thing, I wouldn't have enjoyed it anything like as much, because I would have been too worried about pleasing other people and about what other people thought of me. And this weekend hasn't been that way at all. So we have been with a group of wonderful people. It's a bit of a party set of friends that we've got who are all Mustang owners, and there's been 3 nights of partying, and we've only been to one of those nights. Karen will be listening to this now, and so will Charlotte, thinking, what, Jane missed out on some parties? Because I'm the party queen. But no, I decided I didn't need to be at the party. I didn't have that FOMO. Have you heard of FOMO, fear of missing out? I didn't have it. I'm really happy with that. I just feel peaceful and happy with myself, and just thinking I'll do what I want to do that I find enjoyable. So I just thought to myself, how did I get to that? Because obviously that's happened over the last, I don't know, 2 years maybe less. Hi Lisa, lovely to see you on here. Hi, brilliant to see you. You're saying hello. So I was just thinking, how have I got to this stage where I feel really happy with myself and I don't really mind what other people think, to the point where I can come on here today and I haven't got any makeup on, and I've got a blooming bright red forehead and my hair's all over the place. And actually, look at my nail varnish as well. It's terrible. But do you know what? It's not bothering me, and so if it bothers other people, I don't care anymore. So, how did I get to that? I got to that because I made a decision to be that way. I decided, and I'd seen other people and how easy their lives were because they didn't have those worries about what other people thought, and they weren't eaten up by, I've got to look a certain way, I've got to sound a certain way, I've got to be in with a certain crowd, I've got to be doing a certain set of things, all that stuff. I watched and I thought, do you know what? I want some of that. I'm sick of being overwhelmed by not being right for other people. And so today, when I was thinking about that, I thought, what is it? How did we get to that? How did I do it? And what I did was I made the decision, and that's the easiest part, just deciding that that's what you're going to do and going to yourself, right, from now on, I'm not going to worry about what other people think. I'm going to worry about what I think. And if my nail varnish isn't right for me, and I want to, because I know when I get my nail varnish nice, it makes my hands feel different and it makes me feel a bit more glamorous. So maybe when I want to do that, I'll do it. But it's for me. When I have my legs waxed, I do it for me and not for what other people think. And it's about neural pathways. And I know I've talked about neural pathways before, but they're just so important. So if you can imagine that every time you do anything, you get the neurons in your brain link up a little a little pathway is created between two neurons. And if you think that thought more, the neurons, the pathway gets thicker and thicker the more you think the thought. And if you just keep going back to that thought all the time, eventually it becomes less of a pathway and more of a road, and eventually it becomes more like a highway. And that's really important, because the bigger and thicker that road is engraved through your brain between one neuron and another, the more likely you are to start automatically doing that thought process. So now I find myself quite automatically not caring what other people think. And if you think about things that you do automatically, maybe it's habits you've got, maybe it's thought processes you've got, and they could be negative thought processes. If you think about those, quite often, if those are thought processes that happen regularly, what you're doing is you're doing exactly the same. You're creating that highway from one neuron in your brain to another, and you're making it really big, so it's automatically you're thinking that way. And if it's a negative way of thinking, that's what it's always going to be. If your brain goes, I hate myself, I hate looking at myself in the mirror, or I hate the way I look in this, or I hate the way my voice sounds, or all that kind of stuff, all that judging yourself stuff that can go on. You've got neural pathways all the time that are running those little messages through your brain. So what you need to do is you need to change that somehow, and you need to change it by creating a different neural pathway. So if your neural pathway is triggered by looking at yourself in the mirror, what you've got to do is decide, next time I look at myself in the mirror, I'm going to find something that I like about myself. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can just be something small. And every time you look in the mirror, you need to find something you like about yourself. You know, it's funny, because after a while, you look in the mirror and you quite like yourself, no matter what you look like. And that's when you know the neural pathway that your brain is on is automatic and is a positive neural pathway. And that, I think, is my message today. So what I want to ask you guys to do is to think about what neural pathways maybe you've got, what negative messages are flying about in your brain that you want to change. And just choose one. You can't choose all of them, but just choose one, and then try it out. Just try. Remember, what am I going to do to remember each time that happens? I'm going to think in a different way, because eventually it becomes a habit. So if you need any more help with that, then by all means, messages below, ask any questions. We're always here to help you. There's quite a lot of sort of stuff on our website that's helpful. Sorry, I don't know who's just bit the horn, but I'm in a garage, so it could be anybody. And then the other thing I was going to say was that if one of the things that you're worrying about and you need some help with is your confidence and your style, then we're running a retreat in September, at the end of September in London. It's a deluxe retreat. It is fabulous. Watch this space. I'm going to be looking completely different from this after I've had my style makeover and my makeup done. But again, that'll be a choice. That'll be a choice for me. I'm doing it for me and not for anybody else. But we've got the retreat. So if you're interested, message us and we'll send you details of it. Or look on our website. It's called Luscious in London. It's very, very exclusive. There are only a maximum of 12 ladies allowed on it. So if you want a space, you better move quickly, because there might not be many left soon. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Do make a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And don't forget, be the best you can be. Bye.